Hey there, welcome back to Total Geek Live. We are here bringing you another 19XX video. Today, we are bringing you... Oh wait, but first, let me introduce the rest of my crew.
Oh.
I got John Kaiser, I got Guy Chapman, and I got Danny Gunter, and I'm Baltimore Russell. And we are going to give you the goodness, the amazingness that is the Princess of Power, She-Ra herself.
Woo! Wait, is she here?
Yeah, she's right over there.
Oh.
I may straighten up a little bit.
Hey, there she is.
There she is.
Sly boots.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about She-Ra because she's awesome, one. And two, they just announced that they're going to be bringing her back to a animated in 2019, I think it's coming. Is that right?
Actually, this year is from what I understand.
Oh, is it this year? That's even better. And it's on Netflix, right?
Right.
And it's by
DreamWorks Animation.
DreamWorks Animation, yes.
Voltron.
Why are the words not coming? I'm just too
Right.
excited about it.
Yeah,
so-
if it's the folks doing Voltron, this should be awesome because
Right.
High quality. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm really excited we're getting a reboot of it. I think it's going to be really fun. I think it's going to be... I think they're going to honor the source material, but update it and kind of, bring it forward, which is exciting to hear.
Right.
So I love He-Man and I love She-Ra, and we got this going on. And Guy, yeah.
Loving it as well.
So I do have the whole series on DVD. It's the second one.
Nice.
And the third one.
That's
And
nice.
the cool thing about it is the sides form an image.
Oh.
And they actually connect to the He-Man animated series DVD collection. So it forms a whole Castle Grayskull, Snake Mountain, and here for Etheria, where She-Ra is.
Wow.
So if you don't know, She-Ra is the twin sister of He-Man. So there's Prince Adam and Prince Adora. And she debuted 1985. Secret of the Sword.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So I got that collected. This is I think it's like the film that introduces her to the world. I think it's like basically 5 episodes joined together to kind of give, the whole story of where this twin sister had been since no one had ever heard of her. So it was a kind of cool kind of introduction and kind of sideways, realm for the Evil Horde and Hordak, and introduce a whole bunch of new characters, good and bad, that you get to, take in. But I loved She-Ra. I loved watching it. I had a great time with it. I know someone else really enjoyed it. Could be that guy over there.
That would be me.
Yeah.
I was a big He-Man fan as well, and She-Ra was interesting. Like you said, she's the physical equal of He-Man. And they went through this whole story, the Secret of the Sword. And it was a cool story because obviously with He-Man being what it was, that, there's no mention of a twin sister ever.
Right.
And they came up with this whole story that, when she was a baby, she was taken away by Hordak and then basically raised to an adult as a member of the Evil Horde.
Yeah.
And they actually reference that, and this is something I have. This is a great...
Yeah.
Mini comic collection because it's all the He-Man comics and it's all the She-Ra comics, and even the She-Ra Princess of Power line. They did a pretty faithful-ish, rendition of the Secret of the Sword storyline,
Yeah.
and basically, she's kind of come into her destiny. Whereas like in the comics, she wasn't really like evil-ish, but
Right.
like in the Secret of the Sword movie, she was definitely a member of the Horde. And Adam, which was funny because the movie actually allowed Prince Adam to be his own person for once.
Right.
Because Masters of the Universe, he was always lazy or didn't want to do something, or it's like, I don't want to do this. But, nobody knew who he was. So he's like out there like cleaning clocks in a bar and like beating people up. And it's like that's kind of cool because no one knows who he is and he doesn't have to hide anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And so obviously he helps her remember her destiny, and then she becomes She-Ra, and then she kicks butt on just as equal a level, and that was cool. It was basically like the third season of He-Man. It just kind of slightly shifted over.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it had kind of the same. I mean, the same tone and feel of the He-Man series was basically, for lack of a better word, cut and paste over onto She-Ra, but with more. It was obviously more women focused and centered. So there's a lot more of girl power, for lack of a better word, but that kind of girls can do everything that you do, blah blah blah. So it was really empowering. So that was really cool. And of course, it still had the weird, quirky little sidekicks in the series as well, which is kind of fun. And then they also had, I don't know if you have this guy, but the joining for the Christmas special.
I have it. I have it. It's awful, but I have it.
Yeah, it's not super great, but it is cute and fun and corny, and
it's a thing that exists.
Yeah.
Yes.
That big eared flying thing, wasn't that in Captain EO?
No, that's basically the counterpart to Orca. Well, actually,
no, Orco's got the girl one with the
that one.
But the owl was Cowl.
Oh,
Big
Cowl.
floppy ears.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I really liked She-Ra. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I didn't get to watch a lot of it on TV because we didn't have the channel.
Mm-hmm.
So I would watch it through other friends' house or, through tapes that we could get from, renting or whatever. So that was kind of how my experience grew with her. And that was obviously seeing her at the toy line and collecting them that way as well. But yeah, I love She-Ra. I think it's a lot of fun property, and I'm really excited to see what they do with it in Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mainly remember my first introduction to her was the big crossover movie that really introduced her, and they were showing it at the local theater, and they had like an all-day event. You could go and watch it, and they just had it on repeat all day.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, that's pretty cool. Yeah, Secret of the Sword. And I thought, man, her villains were really cool. I mean, like, wow. It's like they didn't really cheese out and try to make them girly villains. Like, no, like Hordak is a badass.
Yeah, he looked so much. To me, he looked so much cooler than Skeletor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the trap comes from, the slime pit.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Etheria. So
you know how I feel about that.
Oh yeah. Love you some slime.
Love some slime. Because that was a cool thing about Hordak. I mean, I really did. As a kid, I loved the Evil Horde. So if this was the only place I was going to be able to watch the Evil Horde, I was okay with it. But like you said, I think the tone in the mini comics that came with it were very different than what you saw in the Filmation series. Because I think Filmation as a whole really defined the whole Masters of the Universe, everything. Mm-hmm. Because like Catra was interesting, although in the mini comics, I'd say at best her threat level was silly. That was about as threatening as she was in that. I mean, she'd want a magic mirror or something like that. I mean, she didn't do much, but in this, she's transforming into a panther and would attack. And Shadow Weaver was cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was
Shadow Weaver's
a cool name too.
Yeah, and she was the one who kept Adora under that spell, so she didn't remember who she actually was. Scorpio was cool. It was like a cooler looking Clawful. And because at that point the Masters of the Universe series was kind of over, they started introducing Snake Men as part of the Horde as well. So that was the other thing. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that was Masters of the Universe as a whole did some really cool things. Whenever they did a big expansion launch, it wasn't lame because I mean it's I think the three biggest were the Princess of Power, the Evil Horde, and the Snake Men, and each one were extremely relevant to help build the whole mythology of the He-Man universe.
Absolutely.
I liked the Modulok.
Modulok, yes.
Modulok, yeah. Yeah. It had the multiple legs and arms and heads, and you kind of
and you could like replace them and move them around and all that stuff. Yeah.
Do you remember Multibot, the robot that Modulok made? And then you can combine all that and make just something stupid that never fell over instantly when you tried to play with it.
And I somehow convinced my parents, most likely my mother, to buy 2 of the Robot Horde robots.
Yeah, those are so cool. I love those.
They're so cool, but it basically had an army of the Horde soldiers or whatever they were, and I was like, I need an army too.
That was like in G.I. Joe, the Bats figures, they're like just soldiers that were like kind of robotic and stuff. Mm-hmm. You wanted to have a whole bunch of them because they were the army figures, so you wanted a bunch of the same one.
Like stormtroopers in Star Wars, you need a bunch, obviously.
Right, because they're so expendable. You're gonna blow a bunch of up.
Oh yeah, and I think they broke off too. Like I think they were like.
Yeah, it's like you push it in the chest and
they'd explode or whatever.
Yeah,
because they were robots. You always had robots in '80s shows.
Yeah, because you couldn't kill real people. You could kill robots.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why you see He-Man throwing most of, even though he had the badass sword and a giant cat, that could claw and eat you apart. No, He-Man picks up and throws you away.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Or throws a random rock that was never there. You're like, where'd that rock come from?
Oh, I have my ways. It's.
Oh yeah, Danny, what do you think about what are your memories of She-Ra and your kind of introduction to her?
Right. I don't remember the movie being my introduction. I think it was just I just stumbled upon the TV show at one point in time, and for the longest time because I didn't watch the movie yet, so I was just like, is this his girlfriend or something? I didn't really know about the relationship yet. And so it was just kind of weird that the dichotomy between the two. But I loved the Evil Horde. I preferred some of the storylines and just the bad characters over Skeletor and his goons because they seemed more slapsticky and all that, whereas the Evil Horde kind of seemed like they had their act together.
Right, and they were actually pretty kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
Not just visually, but like their plans and their kind of whole reasoning, that was more intense.
Also, they won. Skeletor never won. Hordak actually did take over Etheria, and they were basically on the lam, trying to take it back. So that kind of shows you the level of effectiveness of how awful Hordak was.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you guys mentioned Shadow Weaver, so I had to look it up, and she was just basically a sexy Orko.
One of those stupid Party City costumes, sexy Orko.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Because I don't remember her from the show, and I'm looking at her like, oh, she's just sexy Orko.
Oh yeah, she was the magic user kind of thing. I mean, for all we know, it might have been Evil Lynn under there, and she.
Yeah. Yeah, wouldn't that be a thing?
I can't get that image out of my head. I hate you. Sexy Orko, I hate you. There's fanfic out there, I know it.
I'm sure there probably is.
Of course there is.
That's a rabbit hole.
Here we are, we're 4 grown men sitting around talking about She-Ra because it wasn't like Rainbow Bride or these other girl Care Bears. It was like she was just a badass chick. She held her own against He-Man, and you didn't look at her differently. It wasn't like she's a girl. It's like no, she got cool villains, and the weird heart. What was the heart archer guy?
Bo.
His name was
his name was literally Bo.
Bo knows.
It was bow and arrow, right?
I think when they redid the Masters of the Universe line and they finally integrated all the Princess of Power characters into that, I think he actually had a longer name. I cannot remember for the life of me what it was. Probably Boamus Shootamax or something. I mean, they gave him some goofy names, but
yeah. Well, to jump back onto what Kaiser was saying, this wasn't just a for lack of a better word, just a spinoff that really didn't have matter to it. You know, she was, you know, the long lost twin sister of He-Man.
Mm-hmm.
She could have gone back to Eternia and lived as She-Ra there and whatever, but no, she actually chose to stay in Etheria, fight back, you know, win the world, you know, free it of Hordak's influence, and stay there and, you know, be the figurehead for Etheria. So that's a lot of actual dramatic, you know, reasoning for a kid show, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like the honor of Grayskull. There's a lot, you know, that's her phrase for the honor of Grayskull. And she has honor. Like that's a really big, important character trait that she exhibits and, you know, relies upon and values. So I think that was also a really good thing for people growing up, and that's kind of one of the things that sort of like identifies them. She could have gone back and could have had an easy life, but she chose to be brave, be different, be, you know, She-Ra, and fight the good fight, so to speak.
Right.
So I think that's really, I think that's another reason why there's a, you know, a place in the heart for Adora, for She-Ra.
Yeah, and she wasn't like you mentioned again. It's just she wasn't like a lot of the female cartoons, which just never obviously held my attention. But you know, She-Ra wasn't out there like giving fashion tips or you know, cooking ideas or anything like that. No, they actually had her like punching holes in spaceships and stuff, and you know, chasing bad guys away and freeing villages. You know, for me, that was a very different way of looking at girl cartoons back in the 80s. And you know, it's like I never could, back in the original lineup, I never could justify getting a She-Ra figure. It was, you know, I mean, obviously because they basically shrunk down Barbie and made her into a Masters of the Universe size, so she could, you know, sisters and brothers could easily play alongside. But my sister was older, and that wasn't going to happen for me. So no justifiable excuse. Can I buy this girl in a pink, you know, package or anything like that? But eventually they did integrate all She-Ra's cast into the full proper Masters of the Universe line, and that's what she is now.
Mm-hmm.
So they put her in 2 lines now, and she's full Masters of the Universe along with the rest of her Rebellion fighters, and of course Hordak was always there in the first place. But so
there was I think Kaiju, you may have gotten it. I think you turned me on to the series, but the comic series He-Man brought She-Ra into the fold, and it was my first like comic experience with She-Ra and He-Man together, and I think they really did an amazing job. I can't remember if it was just He-Man and Masters of the Universe or it was just Masters of the Universe with the title, but I think it was like 12 to 15 issues.
Yeah,
and it's like a full-on story arc for Adora, where she, you know, comes to grips with, because they went to a whole hog in her being a bad girl.
Despara.
And the switch in her realizing who she really is, and that struggle, and like, I've done all these horrible things, I have to make up for it. So it gave her another like gravitas, kind of like a, you know, a real reason to, you know, work on. And I thought that was a pretty brilliant series.
Yeah, not just I'm a princess and I'm a good guy and I've got to do this. It's like, no, I've done bad things. I need to atone for my sins. I need to.
Yeah. That was cool.
Did you guys watch the reboot in the 2000s of Masters of the Universe?
Yes.
No, we went to go watch it recently on Amazon. Has it, but it's like not available on this service or device or something.
Oh,
I'm like, what?
Basically, they took all the toy line stuff and all the Filmation line stuff and basically put it all into like a well-explained continuity, and the show was great. It was really well done.
I have it too. I didn't bring it out though, but yeah.
And they were getting to the point where they kind of switched some things up. So they went to the Snakemen first, and then they were hinting at Hordak and the Horde. And had they been able to go far enough before the show was canceled, they would have gotten into the Horde print, you know, She-Ra, everything like that, and probably readapted that story into a much stronger continuity.
Right.
I'm hoping with this new She-Ra series that's coming out is basically, I don't expect it to be an exact continuation of that Masters of the Universe series, but if they pick up with their reimagined version of Secret of the Sword and just go forward with that, that would be awesome.
Yeah. And I honestly, I mean, I kind of don't want He-Man to be in it. I don't want her to have to kind of use him as a crutch to get people involved in the new series. I mean, she's inextricably linked to He-Man, so I get that might be a thing, but I would really like her to be able to stand on her own and not have to share the spotlight, so to speak, in her own series.
Not unless they're hitting at giving He-Man his.
Right.
Wouldn't that be a cool turn of events? Like the He-Man spawned She-Ra originally, and bring She-Ra back, and then spawn a He-Man series from She-Ra. That would be kind of cool.
Nice little.
Did you ever watch the Horrible when they tried to bring He-Man back the first time? It was like Space Gladiator, like ponytail.
Oh, that was so bad. The New Adventures of He-Man.
Oh, wow.
It was bad. It was like trying to be like Flash Gordon-y. It was not.
Well, he had a head shaped like a pencil eraser. It didn't do much. I was looking at those toys and I was like, nah, I'm good. That was my goodbye for quite a while for Masters of the Universe. I just saw it.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, nah, he doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but leave it to She-Ra to bring us back into the fold.
That's right.
She-Ra! Yeah. So I'm a big fan of She-Ra. Guy is too. I think the other boys enjoy her as well. Maybe we'll get to see more when the show comes out this year, later. But what about your experiences with She-Ra? How did her coming to TV change your life or give you inspiration? Or did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Did you like, it was okay? We want to hear from you. So let us know in the comments what you thought about She-Ra. And for the honor of Gray Skull, it's all geek to us. See ya.
If you find Lookie during this episode, well, good for you.
Yeah,
you did a better job than I did.
Wait.
True.
Wait, what?
You don't remember Lookie, the little rainbow raccoon thing?
Oh my god, I must have blocked
and
it
you
out
could find him in every episode. That was like my other thing. It was like highlights for He-Man. So
it was so like randomly weird. You're like, sure, okay, whatever.
He-Man's twin sister and defender of the Crystal Castle. I am She-Ra! Look at my poor beauties. They're covered with worms. What am I gonna do? I got an idea. That looks dangerous. Better cover it up.
What's going on here?
I'll show you.
Well, never mind. I don't want to know.
Even those little caterpillars have a special path in life, just like Flutterina. So have respect for all of nature's creatures. Sometimes, real beauty is found where we least expect it.